Welcome back everyone to Simply Legal. Wow, Happy New Year everyone. We left 2020 with a lot of blockbuster videos, and to make it even better, 2022 is here to be the best year of Simply Legal. We're going to grow as big as the biggest YouTube channels in the world. Well, today I'm here to talk to you about something very simple, something that happens to us in our day-to-day lives, and that is fraudulent titles, and everything concerning land transactions in terms of fraud. So here we go. So have you ever wondered what exactly happens when you buy a piece of land? Well, you're given a certificate of title. In Uganda we call it land titles. However, that certificate of title needs to be done or needs a process to do what's called due diligence. I've done countless videos on this channel about how to buy land, over about like 3 or 5 videos concerning land transaction in particular, how to buy land. At the end of the process, you're given a certificate of title. However, there are many situations where people have obtained titles through fraudulent ways, or someone innocently has bought a title and has bought land and has been given a certificate of title, whereas the other person had fraudulently obtained it. But we've been talking about certificate of title and fraud. Let's go back to the basics. The Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, under Article 26, gives every citizen of Uganda a right to own land, to own property, and part of that property is land. Article 237 of the Constitution vests the power in the citizens of Uganda to own land in their different land tenure systems. I also did a video on this, on how to acquire land. Please go check it out. In the video we have Milo land tenure system, freehold tenure system, customary land tenure system, and complete it for me. I'll leave that one for you. Anyway, so now that we've gone through all the articles of the Constitution that talk about land, let us go to one that is in particular in the Land Act. We have the Registration of Titles Act, in particular Section 59. And Section 59 talks about the fact that once someone has obtained a certificate of title in a very lawful and legal way, then his title is indefeasible. Indefeasible means it cannot be challenged. If all due diligence has been done and he obtained his title without any fraudulent ways, he's protected under Section 59, still of the Registration of Titles Act. Therefore, let us go to what fraud is. Fraud, all of us understand what fraud is. Fraud is obtaining something in a way which is dubious, in a way in which you've stolen something, in a way in which you have altered the truth to obtain something valuable from another person. However, this is a legal channel. Simply Legal likes to define things with authority. Therefore, fraud was defined in the case of Frederick Zabwe versus Orient Bank. In the case of Frederick Zabwe versus Orient Bank, fraud was stated as the intentional perversion of the truth to obtain something valuable from another person, stripping them of their legal right to that particular object. It could be land, it could be a car, it could be a logbook, any piece of property that has fraud. Frederick Zabwe versus Orient Bank talks about that particular definition of fraud. So what I'm basically trying to say in regards to fraud or ways of obtaining land or certificates of title through fraudulent ways, you need to understand that Section 59 of the Registration of Titles Act of Uganda states that once a person is a registered owner of the land and obtained his land title or certificate of title through the proper means, then he or she has an indefeasible title. However, it is subject to impeachment. We have the case of John Katarikawe versus Katuiremu, still as a case, as a landmark case which brought about or which pushed further this issue of fraud. In this case, it was stated that a person who obtains land through fraudulent ways ceases to become what's called a bona fide purchaser for value without notice. Let me repeat that again. Still, in the case of Edward Gringles, I'll put that case in the description. I'll get it right and put that in the description. It also reiterates that the moment you, the person, okay, now I usually like to give examples on this channel. The moment Terry bought land from Moses, and we both agreed that, you know what, we are going to obtain this land through fraudulent ways, and then again I want to go to court just to get remedies and damages. Then in the case of Edward Gringles, it stated that, or it was held that the moment it is found by the court that I, who bought the land, had half, partial, or full knowledge that the title was obtained fraudulently, then I cease to be what's called a bona fide purchaser for value without notice. Let me go deeper into what a bona fide value for purchaser without notice is. A bona fide purchaser for value without notice is someone who will buy this land if, let's say, Mr. Idris told me, he's a broker, and told me that, you know what, Terry, there's a piece of land in Mutundwe after Mengo. People who live that side, you know where that side is, Bulange Mengo. As you go that side of Mutundwe, once you go there and he has assured you that, you know what, there's no other owner of this land, you're going to buy it from Mr. Kasimba John, and this land has no other owner, it has this and this decimals, and I say, you know what, I've also done my due diligence. Once I buy Mr. Kazimba's land in Mutundwe, I become a bona fide purchaser for value. However, if Mr. Kasimba comes up and says, you know what, I didn't sell this land to Terry, or another owner comes and claims that he has the right certificate of title for that land in Mutundwe, then I become a bona fide purchaser for value without notice. Meaning I did not, even after doing my due diligence, I did not know still that there was an owner of that land. I did everything, and still there's another person coming to claim that title. So therefore, now that we're going to understand all of these things, let's go finally into the video and understand the remedies. So therefore, what are the remedies in regards to fraud concerning land titles, certificates of titles, and land generally? Well, for people who are intending on buying land, there are two types of remedies. There are short-term remedies and long-term remedies. Let's go to the short-term remedies. Number one, we have what's called a caveat. Guys, I have talked about a caveat on this channel, I think almost in every video. We always need to put into our minds that a caveat is something needed in today's world, especially in Uganda, where there's a lot of fraud, especially concerning issues of land. Well, what is a caveat? A caveat, first of all, is provided for under section 139 of the Registration of Titles Act of Uganda. A caveat is simply a document which someone or any person can compel court to give him, stopping any dealings on the land. It's basically an injunction. An injunction stopping any dealings on the land until a further suit is heard concerning that said land. In other words, a caveat is a document that you get from court or a registry stopping any dealings on a particular piece of land, especially land which has issues concerning fraud and any other issues. So therefore, a caveat is something that is needed in today's world, especially in Uganda. It's a short-term remedy. It will stop any dealings on the land until a suit is then going to be decided further on. So therefore, what I'm basically telling you about a caveat is that it's a very important document. However, it's a temporary injunction that basically stops any dealing on the land until further court action or a suit is done on that said piece of land. Especially when it comes to matters of fraud, you need something that's going to work for you immediately as the best remedy, and then afterwards you can go on to long-term remedies. So that takes me now to long-term remedies. Aside from a caveat, especially when whenever fraud has been found on your certificate of title, then we're going to go for cancellation of title. What does this mean? Don't get scared. I'm not trying to say that we're going to get rid of your titles or anything. I know you may be having them in your hands right now. However, cancellation of title is stated under section 177, still of the Registration of Titles Act. This basically states that any person will have a right to compel a registrar or a judge of any court, especially the High Court, to then cancel a title. Meaning that, let me explain further. If I bought my land from Kazimba John and another person comes out claiming that he is the right owner of the land and produces his own certificate of title, then me who has bought the land, I can go and I can compel the High Court, because section 177 compels the High Court or gives it powers to cancel a title. So therefore I'm going to go to the High Court with proof and evidence. Remember in the video I stated that In Uganda, we say he who alleges must prove. That's under the constitution and general law. So basically, if I am accusing the other third party of fraud, or Kazimba John, whoever was involved in the fraudulent way of dealing in my land or of my land title, then once I have very good proof under section 177 of the Registration of Titles Act, the High Court can then cancel the title, cancel the old title of the title of the person claiming that he was the original owner of the land before I bought it, and therefore reinstate or put me as the new owner of the land. The last remedy is compensation, because if cancellation of the title doesn't work and the case becomes too messy and too bloody, not in the literal terms, then we can just go for compensation. So those are the remedies. That's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Remember, the remedies are lodging a caveat, that's a short-term remedy. Then we have cancellation of title and reinstatement of me as the new owner of the land, putting me as the new owner of the certificate of title, which is the land title. Or in worst case scenario, compensation. And compensation is done basically in, if I bought the land in Mutundwe, let's go back to my example. If I bought the land in Mutundwe at 500 million, then the person who committed the fraud has to pay me back 500 million and also costs of the suit and damages. So thank you so much for listening to me. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for being a part of Simply Legal. It's going to go so many places, up and up and up. This year, let's aim at hitting that 10K mark or even the 100K subscriber mark. And for those who are new to my channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button. For those who are new to my channel, hit the comment section. Tell me what you thought about this video and what other video ideas you want me to talk about in any other future videos. And yeah, also feel free to hit me on my social media platforms. I go by Terry Kahuma on all my social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. Yeah, and thank you for listening to me. Bye.